this big bearded guy comes out of nowhere and, doesn't say a word. He just pushes me out, kind of goes like this, and I just went, "Are you an angel?" And that's the only contact I had with you guys until about 2 months ago. I'm backing out of my parking lot, and this crazy woman is going like this, and I thought, well, did I almost hit her? I rolled down my window. I said, "I'm sorry," and she goes, "No." She goes, "Something happened to my husband. Something happened to my husband, and he's happy now, and I'm happier, and I'll let you explain the rest." And it is just. Well, and like I said, you were there for Monica, you were there for Jordan, way more than me, which was amazing because you were the right people, and it's amazing. These guys are like the woman at the well, right? They didn't go to Bible school, they didn't go to church even. They just kind of dropped their jugs and ran into the village and went, "Hey, I met Jesus," And it's amazing, it's so awesome to see that. So, and Shanon has skills too. She keeps bringing food over and cheesecakes, and I owe you a couple steaks. I had a very despondent guy that stole the steaks from his cheating girlfriend and sold them to me at pennies on the dollar. So I got a freezer full of $45 T-bones, and I'm like, "Wow, Lord, thank you." I'm sorry about that, but thank you. But anyway, Shanon, come on up and speak nice and loud and be brave. Don't worry, we don't mock you usually.
I know that. Okay, is this good enough?
Yes.
I have a fear of public speaking, so bear with me.
You have a fear of public speaking?
Good. I don't think I'd be able to stand here without the mental health group. I go to that every Wednesday with Blake. And before that, I don't think I could have stood up here and talked about myself because I just can't talk about myself. It's hard for me. But anyway, so I'm Shanon. If you haven't met me, I was born in Newfoundland. And at the age of 3 months old, I was adopted, and I was raised in Ontario. And I've been here now 8 years. This will be my second baptism today. I was baptized in the Catholic Church as an infant. Went to church every Sunday with my family as much as I didn't want to because it didn't interest me. There was no connection there, and there's a lot of things I didn't understand about church. It just, the Bible, I didn't understand the Bible and what it was saying, and it just, I was there. I was present, but I wasn't there. I was just, twiddling my thumbs and drawing on my pants, and that's about how I felt about church and God. I always believed in God. Well, maybe not always. I did as a child because I was told to and I had to, and it was almost that you were made to fear God. If you did not behave and you didn't do these things, you weren't going to heaven, and that's now I've learned that is not right. So I didn't know that God loved me. I didn't know that Jesus loved me, and it was never put that way in the Catholic Church. To me, it wasn't anyway. It was interpreted for me, and this is the way that I was to believe. And that was it. You were not to ask questions, and I had lots of questions because I didn't understand, and I just wanted my answers or my questions answered, and was told the answers I didn't want to hear. So as I became a young adult, and looking back on my life, there was a lot of abuse in my life, a lot of mental and emotional abuse at the hands of my mother. Which is hard for me to talk about, but I need to.
I already have you booked for a Sunday morning service.
So looking back at my life as a young adult, I thought, well, how can you let that happen to someone? And I was really angry with God for that, because he let me down. He let those things happen to me, and I became just lost, and I had no self-esteem, no self-confidence, and I just separated myself from everybody and everything, and just kind of, struggled through life. And I've struggled through life until a couple of months ago. Bad relationships. But I have two good, wonderful children. They're 24 and 21 years old. And they're awesome. So I must have did something right there. But so I've struggled through life. I've used drugs. I've drank alcohol, and was able to overcome those things on my own. And it's more the abuse that I went through as a child that plagues me. Nobody sees that. It's kind of it's a silent struggle, and nobody sees it. But now I know people did see it and did nothing about it, so that made me even more angry. So I had a lot of anger in my heart, a lot of anger and a lot of unforgiveness. I've been able, in talking with Carson, we had to talk about forgiveness and how to forgive and what forgiveness is and means. And I was able to forgive a lot of people in my life. And that felt good to forgive them, because it only hurts yourself if you don't forgive. It makes you angry, it makes you bitter. And I didn't realize how angry and bitter I was until I really looked at myself. And forgiving my mother has been really hard. And I talked to Blake a little bit on Wednesday. I didn't tell him who, but I forgave her the other night in writing things down that I wanted to say today. And it felt good to forgive her. And I had to do it before I got baptized, because I couldn't be baptized with anger, that much anger in my heart. Back to a couple of months ago, my husband is not religious. My husband has never set foot in a church, other than a wedding or a funeral, but he has his own struggles, and that's his story to tell. I won't tell it. He couldn't make it today. He was cleaning out his garage yesterday. If you don't know my husband, he's 6'5", and some doorways are not as tall as him. So his head connected with the door pretty hard yesterday. So he's got a big goose egg, and he's kind of got a really big headache today. So I said, that's okay. You don't need to come. He knows my story. He's had to live it, the poor man. But so we were sitting, and it was just a wintry day, and he said, Shannon, I need something. Like, he's like, I'm going nowhere. My life is this, my life is that. And he goes, well, maybe I'll try church. And I said, sure, I'll recite Catholic Mass to you right here and now. So I did. And he's like, no. So we turned on YouTube, because with COVID, all the churches have their Mass on YouTube. So we went through the whole bunch of them, and he's like, no, too churchy, no. So he said, well, what about that other church there up by the Pink Palace? And I said, oh, the Baptist, that one that our friends of ours came to. And I said, yeah, that one, he liked it, so we turn it on. And I get it up there, and James goes, that's our neighbor. I went, I said, pardon? He goes, that's our neighbor. And I'm like, what, the homeless guy across the alley that lives in the garage? And he's like, yeah, that's him. And I was like, oh. Insert foot into mouth now. So James was like, just let me get a coffee. And he sat down, and James was in tears in 5 minutes. And I was blown away. And I sat and I listened to Carson speak, and I thought, wow, I really, really like what he just said. Like, wow, I have never, ever heard the word from the Bible, the word of the Lord, affect me like that. Like, I connected with it. I thought, wow. Like, my head was just like, my mind was blown. So yeah, I did. About 2 weeks later, we watched on YouTube. We watched everything we could about the Westlock Baptist Church. Every day we watched, and and it just started making sense to me, and like he was directly speaking to me. I'm like, I did that. That's how I feel. And it made me feel like, wow, somebody knows what I'm going through. Somebody knows how I feel. This is great. And James was hooked, and he was so excited, and he was so nervous. And I said, well, we can just go to the church. We don't, you don't have to call and make an appointment or ask permission, I don't think. He's like, he goes, well, he lives right there. Like, just catch him when he's going. So I stalked Carson for a day. I was outside and my coffee, and I went, oh, there's this car. Run through and go to the back gate. And there I was, this crazy woman. So, but it did. It really changed both of our lives. And for me, I've never, ever had a sense that I belonged. I've never had a sense of belonging anywhere. I was always an outsider. Maybe that comes along with being adopted too, because you just don't quite feel you fit. But the moment I stepped foot inside here, I felt like I belonged. I felt I'm a part of something, and I belong here, and I felt welcomed, and people were interested to know my name and know who I was, and it just was like, whoa. And it was true, and it was honest. They weren't just being nice, Leslie. But, yeah, and no, I just forgot what I was going to say. I lost my train of thought there. But, yeah, and then the first... like I had said before, I had a lot of questions about God and the Bible as it was interpreted for me and as a child. And I had a lot of questions. I still have a lot of questions, Blake. I'll bring them up. But so we came on the Sunday. I spoke to Carson that morning. He said, yeah, we're having a barbecue this afternoon. So we came to the barbecue. I had to put a bull ring in James's nose and drag him here, but I got him. And the next day we came and we sat down for the service here at 10, and wouldn't you know it, one of the biggest questions I've had, what is a Christian? Like, what is a Christian? Is it a religion? I didn't know. People always say they're a good Christian, they're a good Christian. Well, I've never really known what a Christian is. I just didn't know what it was, and nobody could answer that question for me if I asked. And no, how dare you question that? Well, I wasn't questioning it. Well, maybe I was. So I sit down and, well, wouldn't you know it, how to be a better Christian. Carson was speaking about, and I thought in like 2 minutes my question was answered. I thought, game on, Carson. Game on. You just answered a question I've had for 48 years that nobody could answer for me. And you just answered it. And I was just in awe. And I thought, wow, I really have to keep coming, because there's a lot of questions in my head that really need to get answered. And I learned that a Christian isn't a person. Well, I guess it is. It's not a title. It's not a religion. It's an action. It's a feeling. It's a behavior. And that's all I needed to know. And nobody could answer that till I sat down here. And every time I come, it's funny. I think Carson listens through my window, because every time I come, his service is about what I just read in the Bible, or what James and I had just been talking about the night before. It's kind of odd, but yeah. So I've developed this new relationship with God by coming here and learning through everybody here, learning through Carson, learning through Blake, and I like it. I really like this new relationship I've developed with God, and I feel Him around me, and I see things now that okay, that's maybe put there by Him. And so, yeah, I'm just going to take this and I'm going to ride with it, because I'm really enjoying it. It's brought a lot of peace to my life, which I've needed peace in my life. I've just kind of been there. I haven't been down there, and I've never been way up here, but I'm kind of inching up to there. So, yeah, I think that's about all I can say right now.
Isn't it wonderful, to hear